Welcome to Hangin With The Hayes Uncensored, only on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, because there's a whole lot of camping talking in here. Make sure that you are part of the show.
Who it is. It's your boy Crazy Keon, and today we are diving into the debate that splits campers right down the fire ring. Campgrounds versus boondocking. Right here, you've heard the preliminary fights. We heard from Dave. We heard from Sandra. We heard from Nathan. Now you are in for the heavyweight battle of the world. Two styles, two vibes. But guess what? At the end of this battle, there's only going to be one single truth. I got my guys, Leon out of Western Maryland, my big brother Fred with me from down in Virginia, and we're going to get real about the money, safety, unpredictability, and the straight up what pisses us off about each one of them. Let's get ready to rumble. Now, before we get any farther, I need to let you know who these two guys are. On my left is one of the craziest boondocking fellas I know. He's representing Team Boondocking today. The Northern Virginia travel master himself. Give it up for Fred. Yes, sir. Show you right. And on my right, listen. I met this guy. I thought I was crazy, but I think this joker got me beat. He is the glampinest, camping son of a gun that I know. Give it up for Leon. I told y'all this was going to be hot. I meant every bit of it. So guess what? Y'all did not hit play to hear me talk. Let's dive right down into the money. That's what we're going to talk about. Let's start with the big elephant that's in the tent. Now, yeah, money matters. But where that money goes depends on how you camp. Is it worth paying for full hookups, bathrooms, and a pool? Or does boondocking stretch your dollar farther by skipping all of that jazz? So I want Leon to kick it off. How do you approach the choice when budget is tight, but location matters?
When budget is tight and location matters, I think for us, we've started kind of looking at a lot of the military campgrounds. And that's because of, being retired military and having access to places like that, or state campgrounds that actually have full hookups. And there are a few out there. Those always seem to kind of pull us in whenever things are tight.
So scratch the tight then, because Fred and I looking at you kind of like, now, wait a minute. Forget the military campgrounds. Tell us what you do when money is tight, when you want to sit there and dive in the pool, have all the amenities. How do you approach that?
Well, like I said, KOA is consistently average. It's always going to have the bare bones jump pad for the kids. It's always going to have a pool. The holidays, and it's always going to have full hookups. The Hollywood showers, the long 30-minute showers, all of that, man. I'm digging all of that.
So you one of them bougie campers? Is that?
That's right. That's right. Hey, man, they said this water free.
You know what? You that guy right there that run our camp costs up, because you like to run 3 air conditioners, make sure you turn on everything in there when you camping, because you ain't paying for it, right?
That's right.
Fred, what about you? When spending less money actually, or what costs more? Like, tell us about the boondock life. How do you make it work when location and cost matter?
Man, boondocking is where it's at. Just the freedom of boondocking, just to pull up, drop jacks, bump out, and walk back and go to sleep. I ain't hooking up no pipes, ain't plugging nothing in, I ain't worried about getting no back feed from the electric. God forbid you have a sewage problem at a campground, which I've seen, and it comes up through the ground into your coach. So, I like the amenities, but boondocking is where it's at. It's just so much freedom in boondocking as well. And most of the time when I'm boondocking, I'm at a location where You're not necessarily dealing with the campground rules. We like going out in the country, hook up the trailer, taking the ATVs.
Right.
And if you got the kids with them, they can go ride all day, all they want. People can play all the music they want, do what they want to do. And at the end of the day, you just hook up and pull off. And I just like using my coach. Like, that's the best way to find out everything works like it's supposed to work. And especially if you're traveling.
Right.
I'm not big on spending money to pull into a campground to spend the night and get up and leave the next day. We've done several long trips, a couple across country from east to west coast.
Right.
And the first on both of those trips, we would map it out, but we were hitting truck stops, we was hitting Walmarts, we were hitting rest stops, we were hitting anywhere that we can boondock for free. Because again, most of the time on those trips, we're pulling in, we're going to sleep. Now, some of the rest stops, if you ever go into Ohio, those are nice. They got the bigger spaces, and they cater to the campgrounds. The further you get west, campers, the further you get west. So that's what I like, because I like using the coach.
Right. Now, I'm going to tell y'all about me. Now, I'm kind of sort of in between the two. When I'm running the road, yeah, you're right. I'm going to find me a spot up in a corner somewhere at like a Wawa, or matter of fact, that Sheets that's not far from Thornburg. I have pulled up in there, pulled off to the side, grabbed me a nap, didn't put no jacks down, no slides out. Look, y'all, just get into bed and let's make it do what it do. Now, in Ohio, I actually found rest areas that had full hookups.
Full hookups, yes. We stayed at those. We stayed at those. We didn't do the hookups because we were towing, we were going across country, and there weren't enough sites for all the large RVs. So we just pulled off to the side. And that in that space, and I know this is a big one for you, people putting out the slides when they're overnight in a certain location. But that was a spot that we could do that. We pulled out the tables, everybody potlucked the dinner, plenty of space in the grass for the kids to run around, and then we just enjoyed our stay. End of the night, everybody back in. The next morning at 5 a.m, when we hitting the road, half my family still sleep. I ain't got to get up and do all that. I just slide on in and I'm rolling. They don't even know it.
Brother, I can't tell you how many times that I got up and started moving that coach in my drawers, man. That's just what it is. Now, Leon, can that type of camping, can you do that? Like pull off into a rest area, or just got this type of setup, or is that not glamorous enough?
My extent of boondocking is a Cracker Barrel. I will pull over into a Cracker Barrel, have some dinner, go to sleep. You gotta
have something to eat. Oh my goodness! All right,
go to sleep. Wake up in the morning, go grab some breakfast, and then we'll get on the road. That's my boondocking.
Yeah, I like that.
So if it ain't a vineyard where you can get sauced, or a distillery, or a Cracker Barrel, you ain't doing it. Is that what you're trying to tell us? Did I lose you? Oh, yeah, I got you. All right, I got you back now. If it's not a vineyard or a distillery or a Cracker Barrel, you ain't boondocking. Is that what you're telling us?
It's not that I haven't. It's just that my preference is to really lay back and enjoy myself. I don't like being in a place where I can't get my Fire Stick to work with my Wi-Fi and my.
There you go with that
Wi-Fi.
Wait a minute.
TV.
You know that campground Wi-Fi ain't no way. Come on, man. Come on. You ain't getting no channels.
I don't even use
Wi-Fi.
I got my own hotspot.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, this brings me to my next question. And I think both of y'all can appreciate this because all of us travel with family, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So let's talk safety. Now, my man Nathan, if you go back and listen to his interview.
Because of the campgrounds here, we don't have the variety of campgrounds that you guys have on the East Coast.
Okay.
So you're going to fall into probably one of three categories when you're out here. You have the resorts, you have your county or your city campgrounds, and then you have, I take four, and then you have military campgrounds, and then you have what we call basically full-time campgrounds, where people are there all the time.
Okay.
So, and it's not where people are coming in and out for those type of campgrounds. So the ones that you may find the most problems with are the ones that are fully full-time, where they're living in their rig on site all the time. That's where you will find most of your issues.
And when you say issues, can you give me a small example without being, it's that guy right there?
What do you mean?
When you say issues, like what type of issues?
Where you're going to have you're going to have the race issues. You're going to have the I would say class issues. Because I know when we roll in with our fifth wheel, you're talking about getting some looks. We get looks. I mean, we don't look like the average RVer, especially on the West Coast.
With me, he pointed out in that episode that not every campground is safe. And just because Uncle Earl is up there posted in the security position vest doesn't mean that it's protected. And I know y'all have seen that. Y'all pull into a campground and there's an 85-year-old man sitting over in a golf cart talking about, hey, how you doing there? Your sight's down there. Like, what the hell is he going to protect? You know what I mean? So you're not always protected in that. But boondocking, that's a whole different beast. You ever try to protect your family in an open event where anybody can pull up? These are the two arguments. So what's safer? A campground with rules and noise curfews, or boondocking in the wild where it's just you and your instincts? Leon, take it away, my man.
Man, it don't matter where I'm going anyway. I'm a Second Amendment guy, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm protected and the family's protected in that sense. So I don't worry about that. I believe in safety in numbers. When you get in certain, I've never had a bad experience at a full-fledged campground. That had the full 9 yards or whatever. I've had experiences that weren't as pleasant as others. With people.
Right.
But outside of that, I've never had a situation that where I really felt, in danger in a campground that had full hookups.
I got you. Now, Fred, how do you handle that lack of structure? Like, are you a lock your doors and pray type of guy, or are you a wish you would? I'm out here in the woods and I'll just leave you in the forest type guy?
Yeah, I'll take the latter on that. But so
right.
So, that is another conversation I've had before when people say, well, truck stops is too noisy, this and that and the other. And now Leon can attest to this for being Marine, just like I am. When I sleep somewhere, it's weird to say, but if I'm sleeping somewhere, as long as the noise is supposed to be there, I'm good. So if if I'm at a truck stop and, some of the pilots and some of the TAs, they have specific spots for RVers, and they're normally towards the front. So to me, that's a little bit more safer because it's well lit. There's a lot of traffic in that truck stop, and there's cameras around. So, if anything were to happen, somebody's going to see you. There's only one time that somebody has came up to my RV when I was, overnight and boondocking somewhere, and it was me and another guy coming from a tailgate event, and it was at a rest stop off of 85 that kind of when you pull off is off nowhere, and then it's we're literally pulling in and just going to sleep, and a knock at the door, and it's the typical hey, I'm broke down the street type thing.
Okay,
that type of thing.
I thought you was going to tell me he was one of the girls of the night.
Oh no. And so with that being said,
services.
Yeah, now
only $5.
Now I do a lot of boondocking at tailgating. Every year we go to this event called the Magic City Classic down in Birmingham, and it's an HBCU event. And at night there's some fireworks going off, but it's not fireworks. But on the side that we're on, we normally don't have that issue. You just you lock your stuff up at night before you go in. There's been people that had their golf carts stolen and stuff like that. But I've never really been in a situation where I was truly concerned for my family's safety. I don't think I wouldn't put myself in that situation if I was. I've overnighted at I tell you, at Cracker Barrel in Florence. If you're coming down 95, that one right there. That's a kind of a little. It appears to be a little shady area, but I got there. There was other RVs there, pulled up, closed the curtains, go to sleep. So I've never had that issue. But like Leon, I'm prepared to protect my family. So
hold on. Wait a minute. Let's go back. How the hell you steal a golf cart?
Oh yeah. Well,
What?
if you had a tailgate and you partying from Thursday to Saturday, at some point you're gonna be tired. And so these cats come out of the night and literally was pushing. I'm assuming I wasn't at that event, but one of our guys' golf carts got stolen. They tried to steal one of the other ones, but for some reason they couldn't get his. But yeah, that's brave to walk up. Now you can imagine tailgating. These spaces they're supposed to be 20 by 40.
Right.
And so you got the RVs lined up. For somebody to walk into your tailgate and just start pushing your golf cart away, that's bold. But this particular stadium, Legion Field in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, if you look at it, right across the street, unfortunately, is the hood. So you have all those folks come when you got thousands of RVers in there for the weekend.
So it's almost a case of where no matter where you are, you just got to be vigilant and use some common sense. Now, Nathan, he said something, and I'm going to run this by y'all, and I might even cut out here and actually play the clip for the people to hear again. But he talked about the campgrounds that are outside of LA or that urban neck of the woods. And one of the things he said is the closer to that urban environment that you are, the more sketch that it is. So this is a little bit off topic, but I think it's worth mentioning. Do you pay attention to like location when you are camping for, searching for a campground or boondocking, or are you pretty much going to trust the event space wherever it is and hope that everything is going to be good?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bestplaces.net. You can go in and find out a lot of things about the crime rate, the economy, the population, the demographics. There's a lot of things that you can find out about different areas where you're going, and I use it.
Well, I tend to, I haven't went that far. I'll look, but to give you an example, when we plan our cross-country trip, we're picking the campgrounds for the stops. We're staying at campgrounds where we're going to be there a couple of days.
Right.
And I also tend to go on it. Any blog that you go on, any chat you go on, campers will let you know that they believe in the Second Amendment. So I think that's pretty widely known. Not to say that stops anybody from trying to, to steal some property or anything like that. We've camped in some places where we pulled off in West Memphis, Arkansas. And when we're getting off the exit, we on MLK, and everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
Right?
Because the campground is off of that. But it was fine. It was right on the Mississippi River called Tom Sawyer. It was nice spot.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. I've been there. Yeah, it's a little sketch, man.
Yeah, getting to the campground.
That's a little sketch.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now let me ask you this: reviews. How do you review boondock areas, especially when you just kind of going and it's, an organized event, but it's not necessarily organized in the sense that somebody has been there and they have put information on the web or anything like that where that you can review. So before we know about reviewing campgrounds, and I'm gonna send that back to Leon, but you specifically, Fred. So let's say, for instance, you boondocking, you got a boondock. How do you scout your area?
I just look online and try to find, again, if I'm boondocking, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm traveling, I'm gonna look for a truck stop. I'm gonna look for a Cracker Barrel, Walmart, or something. The last resort for me is the rest areas, because those are, obviously, although some of them are well lit and I think, I forget where we were at one spot, they actually had somebody in the building 24/7.
That's so.
Yeah, that one was fine, but I tend to want to stay where there's more traffic, because where there's more traffic, it's usually more eyes and security cameras and things like that. And it doesn't bother me to get this, to be able to sleep there. So that's what I tend to do. As far as like an event, I mean, it just is what it is. Knowing, for an example, my first boondock, second boondock. Well, first boondock was a motorcycle event, but then I went to the motorcycle roundup. And I was a brand new camper, me and my wife going to the motorcycle roundup. And you never know. We ended up in the middle of 1% motorcycle clubs. Didn't really, because just where we were. It worked out. Oh
You
yeah.
respect me, I respect you.
There you go. There you go. But it could have, it could have gotten ugly, but it didn't.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard, to scout out areas when you're talking about boondocking at events. Now, if it's a yearly event at the same place, of course, people are gonna talk on social media and things like that. But if it's a brand new event, you just gambling,
Right. Now, Leon, how do you like, I know there's reviews for every campground for the most part. What do you look for in your reviews, and what stands out to you as, hey, this is a great place, or what says, I don't know if I got enough sidearm for this? Like, how do you make that determination?
Well, just for instance, there was a campground that a group of us were going up to near Niagara, and I think it was Niagara. Well, either way, we got on and we started doing some, looking at some of the reviews, and they were talking about it was a sketchy place. They were saying that someone had found in one of the ladies' bathrooms a place where there was a camera that was in the bathroom. Yeah, no, it was inside of the bathroom, and evidently there was some sort of investigation that went on or whatever, and something happened, but we never made it there. That was a deal breaker for us. When you got weird dudes walking around, because I don't typically go to the women's bathroom whenever I go to a campground. My wife does that, so for her, to the fact that, her privacy would be invaded, or whatever like that, she saw that it was a no-go. We're not going there. And, so, but like I said, there's, we watch YouTube videos. Watch word of mouth is big for me, as well as the reviews, because a lot of times people can be sometimes a little overcritical of certain events at campground sometimes, and we've seen that too, where by the time we get there, we realize that some people said that all of these things went on, but our experience was not that. So
and then you find out a lot of what they wrote is some bullshit. Right. I get you.
Yeah, exactly. So,
okay.
But yeah, we do a combination of things in order to find out as much information we can about where we're looking at going, especially if it's a long distance. And it's a destination we're going to, we're going to do our research to figure out what's around there. What are we going to do when we get there? Not just, if all we're doing is going there to go to another full hookup campground, then it's not worth driving and using 2 tanks of gas to get there if you're just going to go and sit on a campground. We're looking at the areas around as well.
Right. And I think that everybody here on this panel can honestly say, boondocking, yes, you roll the dice a little bit more and there is some unpredictability in it. But at the same time, I do think that the campground experience is kind of sort of the same thing, which is one of the reasons why, like later in September, I'm going to do another show, KOA versus Good Sam versus state federal parks, because your KOAs, I think that you said it best, are the most predictable experience that you can get. What's the worst that can happen? Because if their reviews and their quality drops below a certain amount, the amount of money that the campground makes is diminished.
Yeah.
So I personally tend, if I'm going to make sure that I'm stopping and I got to be at a campground because I got, women with me that's got butts and they, use wads of toilet paper and fill my tanks. I got to fill up and do all of that stuff. Then I typically will lean toward the KOA for that. Now, if it's just 1 or 2 of us, or we run in solo or something like that, then, again, I'll stick myself in a corner somewhere and be perfectly okay with that. But I do need to ask this then, because now that we've set that up, what's more fun? Structure versus spontaneity. Now, here's the $1 million question. Boondocking folks say that the unexpected makes it exciting. Campground folks and fans will say that the amenities, the pool, the ladies, the guaranteed showers, all of that good stuff, that is what makes it more fun. So Fred, swinging over to you, does that unpredictability equal fun for you, or is it just sometimes a stress?
I think it's predictable. I'm not sure what they mean by the unpredictability, because if I'm going to boondock, I'm pretty much can predict what I know what I'm going for and what I'm getting into. Especially traveling with kids throughout our camping journey. We always had to, especially as we started when they were babies, so you got to have something to entertain them as they got older. So the campgrounds was a lot more appealing because they got the playgrounds, the water parks, etc. But as they got older, when they're riding ATVs and stuff like that, it's easy to take them out in the woods and let them go. So it's the unpredictable part about it. I don't necessarily see, unless you're talking about an event that I'm going to for the first time. You still know what to expect. I did a lot of motorcycle events every year. So I you kind of get the same thing with the motorcycle event. And then I do the tailgate I was telling you about. So I know what the tailgate is going to be about. So it's not a lot of unpredictability when it comes to that. The only downside to that for us is if you get out there and it's a bad weather day, you are limited to entertainment. If it's just me and the wife, that's different. But if you got the kids, where there's a full service campground, they always got a game room or something like that. Or we go jump in the Jeep to go out in town. But if we're boondocking in North Carolina on a friend's property, then that's what we're there for. So
So you already know what to expect with that. Now, Leon, what makes that campground fun for you? Like that structured vibe, or in some ways, do you prefer off-grid chaos over the structure of a campground?
Well, I've only done a few boondocking events, and I enjoyed the party aspect of it. And it was mostly a group setting, where you'd go. There was music, there was food, there was a lot of different things, and that was cool. But I just know that how I use water is the major concern for me. So going to a structured sort of a campground, even if it's just a KOA, it's consistently average. You always know what you're going to get. It's never going to be a situation where you're going to get there and it's not going to be up to par, because KOAs have a tendency to just, like I say, be consistently average. I don't just go to KOAs. That's usually what I jump from KOA to KOA unless there's a Cracker Barrel somewhere along the way, And typically I'll use the KOA journeys to get to where I'm going. And then once I get to where I'm going, typically it's going to be a nicer camping experience, that like say a resort type of experience.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely get you. And we've been in here for a second. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be right back with the $1 million bonus round question right here on Hangin With The Hayes. So this is what I call the bonus round. Now, if your kids is listening to this, it's probably the time to put them to bed, because it's about to get real. Now, y'all already heard what happened one time when I asked this question, and it might be just as rough. So it PG-13 to Club Shay Shay. That's about where we're going right now. And here's the $1 million question.
Coming on everybody.
Yeah. Oh, man. Here we go. I told y'all. He telling on everybody. So no filters, no fluff. That's what we're going to call this segment. I've asked y'all this before. I know you got stories. What absolutely pisses you off when you're out camping, boondocking, or at a campground? I don't care. Spill it. No holds barred. Who want to go first?
Go ahead, Leon.
What absolutely chaps my britches, I would say, when something doesn't work on my RV.
Oh, shit. Yes, sir.
To get there and have something break and have a power problem, have anything, maybe the something won't switch over on the power, and then you're sitting there and you're trying to heat up the hot water, and the hot water won't get hot.
Oh, at the end of the day, it's like, what the?
Like, man, I'm at a full hookup campground, and my hot water won't get hot.
And we know you got to have hot water. You didn't already talked about, I got to have water.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Now, let me ask you this. What kind of names you call your coach when that happens?
Oh, man. There's a debate between me and my wife. We argued about it for a while, and I lost. But, I called it Old Dirty. I used to call it Old Dirty because Old Dirty, always seemed to
do you dirty.
Would do me dirty.
At the wrong time.
But I think at this point in time, everything for the most part is I'm getting it together. I picked up this coach or whatever, and it didn't have a whole lot of mileage, didn't have a whole lot of time on it, but like I said, it had some major flaws from the manufacturer. And we've kind of worked our way through most of those different things like that. And right now, what I have is a pretty good thing going on right now with mine, and we're gonna rename her soon. And
but right now, she Old Dirty.
Yeah, right next. But if they tick me off, that'll be my swear word for my coaches.
You dirty. Hello. Oh, Fred, what pisses you off, my man?
Oh man, so that's a good one. He went the coach route, so that's obviously one. You prepare, you do everything, and then you get on the road, and then something happens. And we all go through it at some point in your RV journey, and if you haven't, you will.
You will.
And when I'm camping, when I'm in the coach, I'm in a whole different mindset. I'm relaxed. I'm in just chill mode. So it takes a lot to kind of throw me off. But I think it could be just other campers with negative attitudes. Man. Like just angry for no reason. Like, why you come here to be angry, right?
Right. Why you want to be a Karen and we out here doing this? Come on.
Yes. But one of the things is cutting through your campsite. Like some people just,
man,
and don't think, and then they like, excuse me. Come on, man.
Thanks. You know better.
Yeah, you know better. There's some campgrounds are tighter than others. So, I've been at the ones, unfortunately, that were, and it's usually like the nicer places in like water areas. Like if you go into a beach or Key West or somewhere like that, those are tighter spaces because their space is premium. And literally I had one campground. I felt bad for the people because my hookup spot was right in their front door. And so they out there trying to enjoy themselves. And we done traveled from Virginia to Key West. And so now it's time for me to flush the tanks. And you just kind of, and I'm like, and I'm trying to be nice to the guy. He's like, hey, bro, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do.
They're going to smell everybody's doo-doo today.
Now listen, dollar store is your friend. So I go to the dollar store and I use the Geo method. So I use a lot of dish detergent, laundry detergent, fabric softener, all that. So normally I don't have a huge smell, but it's still sewage, right?
Oh, yeah.
But back to the original, I'm sure I could probably think of something else, but it always goes back to just other negative campers trying to spoil your fun. And I've had very few bad experiences, but the one that stands out was Destin, Florida. We're there. It was one of our first long trips as an RV club. And it's 5:00 and we had it was 9 of us on that trip. We had like 6 spaces in a row, tent set up. We're cooking out. We're playing music, not too loud. The campground crew had came over and mingled with us. We usually feed them,
Right. That's how you keep them off your back.
And I knew it was going to be a problem because earlier that day, this older couple pulled up in front of us, and they're in like a B-class van, high end, very nice unit. And they pulled up in front of us. They get their little chairs out, and they walk by, and they go into the beach. And where we were, you had to pass us to get to the beach. If you ever been to Camp Gulf, as you're walking down to the beach, we were right there. And we speak, hey, how you doing? And they just kind of look at us and then keep walking. And we were like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, right.
And so they go to the beach all day. They come back. It's literally 5:00 in the afternoon. So it ain't even dark because it's daylight savings.
Y'all turned up.
No, we're not turned up. We're respectable, but we're at a campground.
Right.
We're respectable because this is a family campground. but we're playing music, we're laughing and joking. And they complain. They come out and try to tell us to quieten it down. What we didn't know is they had complained to the campground, and the campground shut it down a couple of times because a friend of mine was at the office doing some business. They didn't see him in there, and he heard it over the campground radio, where the lady from the campground was like, "Hey, did you take care of that problem at site, whatever?" And he was like, "I'm at that site, and there isn't a problem." But the people kept calling up to the front desk. Well, the guys out there bullshit with us. It made sense later because he kept coming back. But he was such a personable guy. He'd come back, we bullshit a little bit, then he'd leave, and he was doing his rounds. What we learned later is what we suspect is he was coming back because they were calling, and he kept telling the front office, "There's no problem here," you know. And then as soon as the sun went down, we're sitting out there by the campfire, put the kids to bed. It's adult time, and that's when they start, you know, had the nerve at one point to stick their head out the door and basically yell over there that we need to be quiet. Come on, man. We've grown. So out of that group, you had 3 of us that are military veterans, and you know, a couple other folks. It just didn't go over well. And I'm usually trying to be the peacemaker, right? And then I'm like, man, if you don't get your old ass back in there,
right.
You know, I'm sitting there looking at him like, what? We couldn't have been that loud. Nobody else had a problem. Because, you know, if you go into a campground in your RV at night in the summertime at a beach, everybody's air conditioners is on.
Right. It's loud.
You're not really, you're not going to hear a lot of noise inside like you think. But they was just nasty off the top, you know, and that just, I'm not in that kind of mood when I'm camping, you know. And I've had some very good experiences camping, and that was just the one that stands out, and that was one of very few that I've had situations like that.
You know, jealousy is a bitch at the end of the day, like, and that's really what it boils down to. Oh yeah. Now, you know, I think y'all already know what grinds my gears, and I'm gonna get into it. But I want to talk about 2 things that kind of go hand in hand. So, Leon, stuff breaking down on the coach, I get it. Karens and rude people and attitudes. But there is one thing that goes right along with both of those, and that's respect for the guy that's got to come back tomorrow, right? So, let me explain what I mean by that. Cracker Barrel's south of 64. You pull in, you got 50 some feet of rig that you got to pull into a spot that's already too small. And then you look up and then you got regular cars parked where say buses and RVs. And I'd be like, what the like, yo, are you kidding me? And then management has the unmitigated goal to just let it happen. So you know what I started doing? Blocking them in. That's what I do. Pull right up in front of them. And I sit there. I ain't got nowhere to go. And I wait till they come out. I wait till they start complaining. You know, that one Karen, she going to go and do this and do that. And I'm going to go get my husband. And I was like, baby girl, please do. Like, you going to make my day. Because at the end of the day, it's either you can't read or you just absolutely don't give a Which is it?
It's the latter.
Now,
and for
to make that even worse, Fred, you taught me how to boondock. I'm going to give you credit for that. You gave me the value in it. You showed me what to do, how to make it work. But then you pull up in Walmart. You thinking you're going, oh, scratch Walmart. Let's go back to Cracker Barrel. Let's say we're going to stay there for the night because Leon coming down. He want to make sure that he going to eat there the next morning. I'm going to leave him there, right? And so you pull up in the Cracker Barrel. If I get a spot, you get out to stretch or whatever, and then you look over, and this got his slides out. He got an on and out. Now, you already talked about it. Jack's down. Yo, what is you doing? Because all it's going to take is for one manager to get pissed off, and you know what they're going to say? No more RV parking. All because that ladder. You don't give a
Yeah, I think the most that I've ever done was let out one slide, and it's usually over the grass when at the end of the night when everybody else is gone. I pull up on the back side of the parking lot, get as close to that grassy area on the other side, let out the slide that's away from the parking lot, and like I said, you know, unless you walk around there, you wouldn't even know that it was out.
Yeah, now I've let slides out a lot. My first coach that I had, coach-wise, you couldn't. We had to. It was this one we have bunks, so we got options, but that one you had to bump the slide out. But I would do like you said, Leon. I would try to get an end spot where if I'm bumping out, it's over the grass, or I'm so tight to my side that if I'm bumped out, I'm still not going over to the other space. Or if it's a lot of us, we would get tight to each other. And so, like you said, all the bump outs is to another RV, so it's not to someone else.
Right.
So I have that's the way we handle it. But I've been in spaces where we couldn't bump out. It was just me on that trip, me and my family. So I couched it that night, and all the family got in the bed because that coach we only had one bedroom, and then the let out couch was where the kids slept because they were small, they could sleep together. So that night I just crashed on the couch. The kids jumped in the bed with mom. And it was what it was, but then it makes sense. The driver needs to get more comfortable sleep. So
absolutely.
But we made it work. And I always laughed every time I'm hitting that button, sliding out. I was like, Keon would be.
You know it. Oh man, you already know.
Yeah. But I will tell you, I have seen those examples you're talking about. We were going to Yellowstone Campground. We stopped at the Walmart in Cody, Wyoming. It's right before you go up the mountains over to Bighorn State Park. Right. And I'll tell you what, when we pulled in, because we had mapped this out, that was going to be one of our, stations where we stopped back up on supplies. We weren't staying there. We were just stopping through. But it wasn't, and this is where we learned as you do these travels, we normally pick a spot, somebody will Google Earth it and look at the space to make sure there's enough space for you to get in and out. Well, we did that, but we get there and it's packed. We go around the back and we talk on two-way radios when we in convoys. And I just told everybody get the families together who's going in the store. We're gonna have to stay with the coaches because there's nowhere to park. We're just gonna pull along the back wall, and we circled the parking lot, and we were gonna park back there where the trucks park.
Right.
When we get around to the other side of the Walmart, which you couldn't see from the road because this is tight getting in. Right. Keon, it looked like a campground. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. When I say I will bump out a slide if I need to, just to get these people literally had awnings out, chairs out, like they were literally. I mean, you would have. And I'm so in the wall. And
can you imagine what I would have done? Oh,
listen, some people had tow behinds, travel trailers, and things like that unhooked. They were unhooked, bumped out, awning out, chairs out in the parking lot, and I was like, wow. So we couldn't stay long. We just parked along the back edge where the trucks would come around to get to their spot. And then everybody who was, like the ladies and the kids and some of the other passengers ran inside, did all the shopping while we stayed with our coach and came back out. But I thought I took pictures of that. That was wild. I was like, now I've seen people by my house. There's a Walmart and I live off 17. So 17 cuts between 95 and 66. So it's a lot of traffic. People will stop at that Walmart. Now I've seen people out there. Yeah, they'll pull their chairs out because they're sitting outside just to get some fresh air and stuff like that. But I will say I've never seen anybody do all of that. And the ones who bump out, they park up against the grassy area. So if they bumping out, it's no effect on the parking lot. So, but I get what you're saying when it comes. When that wasn't the example of what would irk you, because that bothered me because it just looked bad,
And
that's when a lot of Walmart. Yes, and that's why a lot of Walmarts have stopped allowing folks to overnight.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what's coming. You knew it was coming. Yeah. So, gentlemen,
especially going towards Ocean City.
Listen.
Yeah, they don't allow. They don't even. Yeah, so it's hard to even go to Walmart with a coach.
Yeah. So interesting you mention it. Before we cut out of here, Delaware. I don't know if y'all know this. There is a no boondocking policy in Delaware.
I've seen that in Florida as well. We did it, but we pulled up at a Walmart, and as you were pulling into the shopping center, it was somewhere in the Jacksonville area. There were signs posted, no overnight parking. And at that point, I've been running so long. Unfortunately, I was like, I'm just gonna have to chance it. They're just gonna have to wake me up and tell me to leave. Yeah. And even some states, which I think is weird, and they don't allow overnight parking at their rest stops.
Yeah. Maryland is one.
Yeah, people do it. I've done it in one state I was at. Signs said overnight parking, and I walked into because it was a nice welcome center. I had the end spot, and so I get the end spot. So if I bump out, it's over there. So it's either that little like safety area, or it was a grass median type. And I walk in there and I was like, "Hey man," he's like, "Go ahead and stay." He knew what I was going to ask.
Right.
And I was like, "All right, thanks." You know, and I'll tell him we out of here in the morning. You know, but yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah,
and I feel more bad for the truckers. So I wonder how the truck drivers do it then.
I don't know. They have to go to like travel centers and pay for parking, because the entire state of Delaware, they want to protect their beachfront tourism and those hotels as much as possible. So when you look at, they have the campgrounds, their philosophy is there's enough commerce there in the campgrounds that you can stay there. But any type of overnight boondocking or full timing in Delaware is illegal, which I thought was highly. If you are not at a long-term campground, it is illegal. And I mean, the fines aren't huge. It's like $100 per occurrence. But you know, how many times do you have to fork that over if you in between jobs or whatever, and you're just trying to survive? It's a tough cookie to crack. So for those who are listening, don't boondock in Delaware. They will take your stuff. So we have run the time, and I know these gentlemen have had a wonderful time here. So make sure that, again, you show your love for both Leon and Fred, the Northern Virginia Travel Master, and the glamping camper Leon. Now, gentlemen, anything else before you leave out of here that you want to say?
No, man, just enjoy camping. No matter where you camp at, just enjoy it. It's a great lifestyle. Enjoy seeing this beautiful country. It's there for you to explore.
That's right. That's right.
On the road somewhere.
Yeah, Leon, your last words for us, my man.
Man, I love my hotel on wheels. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be able to work out of it, to live out of it, to travel in it, and vacation out of it. Man, I tell you what, there's not a better life.
You heard it. And y'all, I told you we were going to bring the heat today. Look, there is no right way to camp. There is no wrong way to camp. But the way you roll says a lot about you. All we want you to do is get out there and roll. We took it to the judges. Unfortunately, it's a split decision. That's just the way this is. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us today. I am Crazy Keon. Again, my two guest hosts, we got Leon to the right. We got Fred to the left. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Again, Crazy Keon, Hanging With The Hayes. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and check us out on Facebook. To our friends over at AARVC, Arnell, and the rest of the crew, thank you so much for doing what you do. And we out of here.
Be sure to join us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and you can always catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Hanging with the Hayeses.